What
It's
is love?
Sapper,
Baby,
it's
subscribe to
Sapper,
me.
it's Sapper the
Subscribe to
Snappy
me,
and who-
please. My fellow Australians. Some years ago, I created and uploaded a fake review of My Little Pony. Friendship is. Said video was terrible, absolutely god awful, and I deeply regret making it.
I liked it.
This video mocked the pilot of the series and featured a fabricated plotline, unfunny jokes, terrible editing, and blatantly offensive humor, which I no longer find amusing or even remotely tasteful. However, unfortunately, at the end of the video, my idiotic past self decided to promise a review of part 2 of the pilot if the channel got 5 subscribers. So this video is vastly overdue. Fortunately, I have decided to make a new video on the show, but of a different structure. I have decided to watch the entire series and give an extended analysis, a serious one, semi-serious. Hopefully the final product will be worth the wait. God help my soul. Alright, bye. Let me paint you a dumb little picture. It is X amount of years ago when the so-called brony epidemic was on the rise. The internet had a new subject in which to aim their unrelenting anger and hatred, and no matter how many times you were to insult them, they would just shrug their shoulders and continue to mingle with their own kind, spreading what people back then would call pure toxicity amongst the public.
My little pony, my little pony, I used to wonder what friendship could be.
Okay, I was at Target and I found a My Little Pony Adventures in Canterlot jumbo coloring book and activities book. I couldn't actually go through it because I kind of had to just take it and run and go pay for it. When I opened it up and I started looking at the things, I was offended. Not by the childish activities and such they had in here, but honestly because of just Hasbro's inability to actually market to its true, demographic.
Thus, the war on bronies began, and if you weren't against them, you were one of them. And back then, I was extremely opposed to their existence, to the point where when I caught a close friend of mine watching My Little Pony, the only response my juvenile brain could muster was, "That's gay." And to this day, I feel bad about that. A while later, during the peak of my hatred for the brony species, I decided to do something that I now deeply regret. I made a video for this shitty YouTube channel when I was still going under the alias Brett Stiff, entitled The Idiot's Guide to My Little Pony Episode 1. I hate this video. There are only a few things that I can say I still like about this video, but 90% of it is pure hot garbage. If you're lucky enough to have not seen it, allow me to briefly describe it to you. I watched the pilot to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic and gave it a fake review making up the details of the plotline instead of what was actually going on. It's full of unfunny humor and at times is downright offensive with dumb, edgy jokes that at the time I thought were hilarious. The only thing I kind of like about it is how I managed to make a somewhat consistent fabricated plotline that made some sense, and maybe this one joke.
The Black Sky Horse goes around the area and terrorizes and swears at the ponies.
Does my crown no longer count?
It really does sound like she says that. I'll give my past self likes for that one. It was a video born from negativity, made with poor quality, and if you do choose to watch it, please understand that I am not the same person. Fast forward a few years, the brony hate train has finally left the station and the TikTok, K-pop, and Fortnite hate train has arrived. Choo choo. The last episodes of My Little Pony have aired, and the Brony cringe compilations have finally slowed down. And I, Zane the Great and Powerful, am a completely new person. I am no longer the massive fan of cringe culture I used to be, and I am now majorly critical of anyone poking fun at others who are simply having harmless fun. My new belief is that bronies and other fanbases shouldn't be judged by the weirdest people of their group, and that decent media shouldn't be judged on whatever fanbase it has acquired. Recently, I decided to revisit my old video and ultimately came to the conclusion that life isn't worth living, but it did give me a chance to reflect on that time, and I thought to myself, why do bronies exist? What was it about this show made for little girls that created such a huge adult fanbase and so much pornography? I didn't think ill of bronies anymore, and as someone part of the generation who still enjoys children's cartoons and can appreciate them, I thought I might actually give the show a fair chance. So I decided to watch all of it, to make a video designed for people who haven't seen it or don't plan on seeing it. And in this video, I will give my best possible description and opinion on all the important stuff this series has to offer. And it also goes without saying that there will be nothing but spoilers for it here on out, so if halfway through watching this video you decide you might like to actually watch the series, then I recommend stopping, watching it, then coming back. Now this video won't discuss much about the culture of the brony fandom, so if you're here to listen to a rant about how cringy bronies are, then you're watching the wrong video, and your ticket expired 5 years ago, you dinosaur. This is a hate-free video, and I will not tolerate any hateful comments regarding bronies. We good? Before I begin, I'll explain the overall verdict. Do I like the series? Yes. Did I like it at first? No. Is this Stockholm Syndrome? Pending. I'll explain all my thoughts as I go along, and I have a hell of a lot to say here. I put so much effort into this video, and I sincerely hope you enjoy it better than my previous skid mark of a video. Okay? Let's go.
Iridocyclitis.
Am I crumping? No. Am I crumping? No. Am I crumping? No. No. This is crumping.
I used to wonder what friendship could be. Until you.
So the first thing that raised my eyebrow about why this show is so popular is the fact that Friendship is Magic is a completely different beast to this thing. This is the original My Little Pony series, made in 1986, and only has bare minimum relation to the Friendship is Magic series. And it looks so... you know. It was written by a whole bunch of Michael Reeves? I haven't seen the original, so I can't comment much other than the fact that it looks like pestilence. Friendship is Magic is the 2010 remake created by Lauren Faust, who, in my opinion, is an absolute genius in her field. She co-created possibly my favorite childhood cartoon, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which was an absolute gem inside and out. According to the My Little Pony Wikipedia page, Lauren Faust claimed, get this, that typical girl shows just had endless tea parties, giggled over nothing, and defeated villains by either sharing with them or crying. And when she got a chance to remake My Little Pony, she said, "Cartoons for girls don't have to be a puddle of smooshy, cutesy-wootsy, goody-two-shoeness." Damn, Lauren, preach! And apparently, her rendition is actually partly inspired by shows her brothers watched when they were young, which actually explains a lot. The best way to describe the Friendship is Magic remake is this. Adventure Time is a series with deep lore, impressively written overarching plotlines, and humor designed for a young male audience. Friendship is Magic is basically the exact same thing as Adventure Time if the target demographic was young girls instead. Trust me, it makes sense, I hope. Alright, screw it, I'm gonna stop talking like an essay. Let's go, we're going head first, baby, come on! His name is Bill.
Zane, you are next.
I have a horsey. Horse!
So I'm excited for this part of the video, because I get a redo on the pilot review, yay! I think it's important to discuss this episode at length, considering it does set up everything pretty well, so the other segments should be shorter. Right off the bat, this episode decides to vomit world building on us, so let me explain this plus some other stuff briefly so you don't want to bash your head in and question why you're watching this video. The name of the land is Equestria, and there are two princesses who live in a city called Canterlot named Princess Celestia and Luna, who control the sun and moon respectively and raise and lower them when needed. Princess Luna one day gets jealous of her sister because everyone appreciates her more and decides to make it Eternal Night because she's a salty bitch. She then transforms into a villain known as Nightmare Moon and they have a fight, but because they're evenly matched, Celestia uses these things called the Elements of Harmony, which at this point have unknown properties. Celestia uses this to trap her in the moon somehow, and then takes on the responsibility for raising both the sun and moon. Okay, done. Now here is where I immediately became confused. First of all, the show seems to throw the title princess around pretty loosely. They're either technically queens or gods, pick one, but it's a buzzword for little girls, so I guess it's fine. Secondly, if Celestia can lift both the sun and the moon with no complaints for like a millennia or whatever, then why the hell did this problem occur in the first place? All you would have to do to make Luna feel more important is tag team this shit. Just 1 month you do both, then the next month you switch and you'll both be appreciated equally, because apparently anyone can just lift the sun and moon if you snort enough elements of harmony, am I right? I need a job. So after that neat little intro, we get a first glimpse at one of our main characters, Twilight Sparkle, who decides to investigate this story. Voiced by Tara Strong, my favorite voice actor ever.
Elements of harmony. I know I've heard of those before. But where?
I'll get to talking about Twilight Sparkle in a short bit, but for now let's check out the show's intro sequence, eh?
I used to wonder what friendship could be, until you all shared its magic with me. Big adventure, tons of fun, a beautiful heart, faithful and strong, sharing kindness, it's an easy feat, and magic makes it all complete, yeah.
Not really much to talk about, but I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty catchy honestly. And as our first big introduction to how the show looks, it's a strong start. The show has enough colour to burn your retinas in the most pleasing way possible, presenting almost no black outlines at all. The animation is also a very strong aspect to the show's visuals, and it fits the art style very well, which is gorgeous. You tend to appreciate the small details in the animation, such as how bouncy the hair of each character is, and the expressiveness of their eyes. Even though there were quite a lot of errors in the animation, especially in the early seasons, it's just hard not to love how this show looks. The remade character designs are my favourite part, and are a much better version than the horror of the original. I do not know why they scared me so much. These characters look really good from the side, but look much nicer from the front in my opinion. Maybe it's their stubby looking nose, I don't know. And when they want the characters to express themselves, they don't hesitate to transform the eyes in various ways. Quite ingenious and very effective. Anyway, that's all I want to say on the art for now, let's move on. After the intro, Twilight heads back to her house, which is a library for some reason. She gets stopped on the way by her friends who invite her to a party, but she rejects them to go study the Elements of Harmony because she is a massive dweeb. I feel like I want to talk about these characters as they come along, so you can get a better understanding of them as they appear, instead of sitting through craploads of episodes just to find out which one prefers mozzarella cheese on their flour sandwiches. So, Twilight Spangle. Who be she? Basically, she's the show's most important character, a unicorn with an intense dedication to academia that cripples her social life. She is a student of Princess Celestia and has advanced knowledge on magic and spells. That's sort of it, at least for now. Also, I feel it's important to mention something that confused the hell out of me the first time I saw this. The title. Friendship is magic. What the hell does that mean? Well, get this. It actually means, you ready? You ready? Friendship is magic?
Literally, that is exactly what that means.
So this world actually has real magic, right? Well, friendship is literally a form of that, which means if you are hanging with the boys, taking shots, crying into each other's shoulders, you are literally participating in a form of Hogwarts wizardry.
Which reminds me...
Kirk, you hungry?
Yeah, I could totally use some salad.
So Twilight runs back home and into her somewhat helpful assistant, Spike, one of the only male characters with frequent appearance. I'm gonna keep his introduction about as short as he is. So Spike is a baby dragon who was adopted by Twilight since birth and now serves as her scribe, which I think is pretty clever considering he's the only character with opposable thumbs. And if you ask me, he's a little cutie patootie.
Mirror in the moon? But that's just an old pony's tail.
Alright, you're not that cute, you little piece of shit. Twilight goes through a bunch of books and ends up reading about a myth saying the stars will align soon, and Nightmare Moon will skateboard down these stars and kickflip into Equestria, bringing eternal night. Twilight gets scared and tells Spike to send a letter warning Celestia that her sister might escape the moon soon. Spike sends it off and immediately gets a letter back saying this.
My dearest, most faithful student, Twilight. You know that I value your diligence and that I trust you completely. But you simply must stop reading those dusty old books.
Bitch, take this seriously. It would be a huge problem if it's true, dumbass. Celestia then sends Twilight to a village called Ponyville to assist with something called the Summer Sun Celebration and tells her to make some friends because she's a reclusive piece of garbage. And it's here we meet a new character.
Hello?
God damn it, making me look stupid. And it's here we meet a new character at Sweet Apple Acres. Yeehaw.
Well, how'd it do, Miss Twilight? A pleasure making your acquaintance. I'm Applejack. We here at Sweet Apple Acres sure do like making new friends.
This is Applejack. All one word, no last name.
Now, to briefly sum up what kind of pony this here Applejack is, all I ought to say is she runs the farm, has a big family, and prides herself on being honest. Now, I'm gonna quickly stop talking like this because my vocal cords are about to explode and I have no idea how Texans speak like this all the time.
Here you get introduced to her entire family who, like, never appear again, but there are 3 that are actually important, and they are...
Big Macintosh, Apple Bloom, and... Granny Smith.
These characters actually live together with Applejack, so you see them often. Big Mac doesn't talk, Apple Bloom is their rebellious little sister, and Granny Smith is exactly what you would expect.
Aren't you gonna stay for brunch?
Can we be quiet, please?
Next we meet Rainbow Dash, who has my favorite color scheme. Rainbow hair grounded with a light blue base and pink colored eyes. Rainbow Dash is a tomboyish Pegasus with a competitive attitude, passion for sport, and the unfortunate victim of the jar. She makes a living by clearing clouds and bad weather from Ponyville and aspires to join a team of professional flyers known as the Wonderbolts. My favorite thing though is her raspy voice. I love raspy voices.
I could clear the sky in 10 seconds flat.
Ooh. Okay, let's move on. If it seems like I'm moving fast, it's because this show actually moves this fast, and I'm not going to bore you with the small details because you'll get to know these characters by the end of the video, trust me. So we get to meet Rarity next, a unicorn dressmaker with a love for pretty things.
Oh, yes! Sparkle always does the trick, does it not? Why, Rarity, you are a talent.
Despite her initial impression of being fancy and uptight, she's actually not so bad. She's a nice person with a generous heart and good taste in fashion. It's also worth noting that I noticed the character design using the shape of the eye to convey personality. Most ponies have round eyes to give off a welcoming vibe, including Applejack and Rainbow Dash. However, Twilight Sparkle and Rarity were designed with more almond-shaped eyes to convey a more sophisticated look. So Twilight meets Rarity, Spike develops an interspecies crush on her, then we move on. Twilight then goes to meet someone else whose name is the most on-the-nose shit ever.
I'm Twilight Sparkle. What's your name? I'm Fluttershy.
Did you catch that? Her name is Fluttershy. Get it? Because she's a Pegasus and she's shy? What are you, dumb? I'm sorry. Fluttershy is the Dr. Dolittle of this universe at the cost of basic societal function.
Excuse me, sir. I mean, no offense, but your rhythm is just a teeny tiny bit off.
She's not a fan of confrontation and would rather hold a large, compassionate funeral for some roadkill instead of poking it with a stick like the rest of the world. I'm a fan of her design, honestly. Her colours are easy on the eyes, her hair is super flowy and relaxed, and her eyelashes stroke downwards, which really accentuates her personality. Okay, last main character, you ready? We're going back to the bubblegum menace from before. So Twilight goes back to her admittedly awesome library tree home and finds that the pony she met earlier, known for breathing oxygen, has held a big party to welcome her to town.
Surprise! Hi, I'm Pinkie Pie and I threw this party just for you! Were you surprised? Were you?
So Pinkie Pie is a pony who can be understood by watching her for 5 seconds.
You see, I saw you when you first got here, remember? You were all hello and I was all, oh, remember? You see, I never saw you before, and if I never saw you before, that meant you're new. Because I know every pony, and I mean every pony in Ponydom.
She's infinitely energetic, lives for entertaining others, works at the bakery for a living, and is the poster child for adult onset diabetes.
Hot sauce. Ooh.
Something to appreciate with this character is she isn't a one-trick pony, ha ha. She actually does have good writing and development over the seasons, which, with a person of this personality, can be very easy to screw up, so kudos.
Give me another.
My pony already had 25 ice cream.
I said give me another!
At no point do you ever find her annoying unless the writers intended her to be, which is nice. Twilight then has a tantrum because she doesn't realize friendship centers your chakras, and the next day they go to the Summer Sun Celebration. Jesus Christ, Zane.
Fillies and gentle colts.
The Summer Sun celebration is all going fine until they find out that Celestia hasn't arrived, and guess what? It's Nightmare Moon! Oh no! Twilight was right. Who would have guessed?
Why? Am I not royal enough for you? Don't you know who I am?
Now, while I really like Nightmare Moon's visual design, I'm not really a fan of her as a villain, especially when comparing to the show's roster. She's just not intimidating enough.
Well, 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 some pony who remembers me. Then you also know why I'm here.
You're here to...
Pretty lame, Millhouse.
So now Nightmare Moon is promising eternal night, which I think would be pretty cool, but, you know, vitamin D and all that. Now we have to watch part 2! It continues where we left off and Nightmare Moon does the bolt. Twilight runs back home and the others follow her and demand answers. She finds a book about the elements of harmony and reads it aloud.
There are 6 elements of harmony, but only 5 are known. Kindness, laughter, generosity, honesty, and loyalty.
Yeah, real subtle.
The 6th is a complete mystery. It is said the last known location of the 5 elements was in the ancient castle of the Royal Pony Sisters. It is located in what is now the Everfree Forest.
So now they have to travel through the Everfree Forest to reach the castle, and it's filled with ghosts and ghoulies. Honestly, their whole journey drags on, and it takes up the whole episode, so I'll be quick. The point of them going through the forest is to show that each one has the value of a respective element of harmony, see before, when confronting obstacles made by Nightmare Moon. Twilight nearly falls off a cliff, so Applejack reassures her that she'll be caught by the others, which represents honesty. A big beastly fights them, but Fluttershy treats it with kindness instead, which represents kindness. Spooky trees are spooky, and Pinkie Pie laughs at them to make them not that, which represents laughter. An overdramatic sea monster is upset because his mustache is dead, so Rarity gives him her tail, representing generosity. And lastly, Rainbow Dash gets offered to join an obviously fake bootleg of the Wonderbolt's team if she abandons her friends, but she doesn't, which represents loyalty. And now we're at the castle, yeah! They find what are supposed to be the elements and they go,
"Where's the 6th one?"
And Twilight goes,
"I got this, guys, watch this shit."
And Nightmare Moon arrives and they duke it out. Twilight sparks them up, but uh-oh, they don't do anything, haha.
Oh my god!
"Oh, don't worry, it's alright because the little horsies represent the elements so the rocks don't mean shit without them." Nightmare Moon goes,
"What about the sixth one, dumbass?"
And Twilight says, "Oh, that's easy, we're friends now, so the sixth one is magic because friendship is magic, get it? They do some magic bullshittery and get rid of Nightmare Moon to transform her back into Princess Luna. And then we get our first glimpse of Princess Celestia. Isn't she pretty? I actually love her design though, with the wavy hair and all. It really gives her that godly look, and I honestly don't know how they make that effect so well. Anyway, Celestia's like, "Good job, I knew you could do it despite me making fun of you earlier. I'm glad you made friends now." Then we get our first look at Princess Luna. Ew! Beta! I completely forgot she looks like this in the first episode. Gross! She looks so much better with her later design, dude. The two sisters reconcile and they all go back to Ponyville. Twilight is then upset she has to move back to Canterlot when she just made friends, then Celestia does this.
Spike, take a note, please. I, Princess Celestia, hereby decree that the unicorn Twilight Sparkle shall take on a new mission for Equestria. She must continue to study the magic of friendship. She must report to me her findings from her new home in Ponyville.
And with that, we've finished the pilot. Congratulations, everyone. Pat yourselves on the back. You deserve a reward. Too bad I'm broke, huh? So this is the show. It's basically these characters having antics that all revolve around friendship, and at the end of each episode, Twilight sends a letter to Celestia talking about what she learned, and to be honest, that part is bleh. I hate when a show shoves the lesson down your throat. Like, your audience may be putrid, snotty children who smell like milk, but they can understand what a story is teaching without having to tell them directly, so it's a good thing this show cuts that shit out a couple seasons in. Also, I swear to God, Applejack's voice gets deeper as the series goes on, and I can't tell if that bothers me or not.
Well, how'd it do, Mr.
You sound bad!
From here on, I'll just be talking about whatever the hell I want in order from season to season, okay? Although, I apologize if season 1 is all over the place because my notes are completely jumbled. I think I might have been ill when writing this or something. Like, what the hell does this mean? I just wrote, "Why so glum, Sugar Plum?" Like, what?
Yay. Ugh, you're gonna cheer for me like that? Louder. Yay. Louder! Yay. Louder! Yay.
Over the Apple logo. There she is, just sitting there. Forever on my MacBook Air. Oh, Fluttershy? Wow, found the bronies in the chat. Just like weebs. Just like weebs.
Oh my god. Oh my god, he on X Games mode.
This episode's neat because it introduces one of my favorite characters, the great and powerful Trixie. So there's a magic performance in the middle of Ponyville, which for some reason is impressive to them, even though any unicorn can do magic. And the performance is held by Trixie, a showboaty unicorn with a fragile ego.
Who is so ignorant as to challenge the magical ability of the great and powerful Trixie?
Merely her presence says a lot about who she is because the only reason she's actually in Ponyville is to flex her magic. She just stands around on a stage and challenges people to be more awesome than her. Like, that's it.
Do they not know that they're in the presence of the most magical unicorn in all of Equestria? Just who does she think she is?
I think we all knew that person in school. There was always that kid who just wants to show how cool they are and just ends up embarrassing themselves. There was something interesting about how they drew Trixie that was so subtle I didn't actually notice until my second time seeing it. If you were to compare her to the other characters, you would notice that Trixie has less reflection in her eyes. If you're a dumb enough idiot not to know why, this is a neat little trick for making characters seem evil, tired, cruel, or even dead. They use this for a bunch of characters in the future, but this was the first time I noticed it. So the episode ends on Trixie being humiliated by Chad Twilight because she only really knows performance grade magic. The main reason I brought this episode up is because Trixie has consistent reappearance, that's all.
I want my cheeseburger! I want my cheeseburger!
So Applejack's being a bit of a bitch today. This one starts off with Rarity and Applejack pulling off loose tree branches, and Applejack is immediately starting shit.
Perfect. Just take the broken limbs down, Rarity.
Must you? You could have just asked nicely, I reckon. It starts raining and Rarity doesn't want to get wet. Then this happens.
There. Hunker down to your heart's content whilst I finish things. Oh, no, no, no! What now?
I'd prefer not to get my hooves muddy.
Gah, there is just no pleasing you, is there?
Excuse me! Just because Rarity's a fancy girl doesn't mean she's wrong. I would much rather be wet from rain than have muddy feet. There's just something about it that I can't stand, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone on that. The gimmick of this episode is they hunker down at Twilight's house, and Twilight decides to make it a sleepover because she read about those once. The whole time, Applejack and Rarity are at each other's throats while trying to keep it on the DL, and honestly, I'm on Rarity's side here. I mean, Rarity's being a dumb idiot here too, but Applejack is just being plain rude.
You could at least say excuse me.
Oh, I was just about to, but you interrupted me.
Pardon.
My favorite part about this episode is how Twilight behaves. She's made out to be the smartest character in the series and the voice of reason, but this episode shows that there are times where she's really not that smart.
Fortunately, I can get along with any pony, no matter how difficult she may be.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm the get-alongingest pony you ever gonna meet.
That's not even a word. This is gonna be the bestest slumber party ever! Yay!
Throughout this entire feud, she just comes in like, yay, this is fun, making it very clear she's just not paying attention.
I think the truth of the matter is that some pony could stand to pay a little more attention to detail.
And I think the truth is some pony ought to quit with her fussing so the rest of us can get things done.
I don't think this is how the game's supposed to work. You have to give an honest answer to any question or do whatever any pony dares you to do.
I think it's nice to see a character with non-obvious flaws like that, you know?
I smell like beef. I smell like beef.
Here is where we get introduced to Zecora, a character whom I do not like very much. She's the first recurring character who is not a pony, which is nice, but I can't stand her, and I'll tell you why in a sec. Episode starts and everyone's on lockdown.
Come here! Hurry! Before she gets you!
Everyone believes they're in danger from a witch who entered town, except for Twilight, who understands that she's just a zebra and that racial profiling is unacceptable. She spends a lengthy amount of time trying to convince the others it's fine, but is finding it difficult.
You ponies are being ridiculous. Well, I heard that Zecora eats hay.
Pinky, I eat hay. You eat hay.
Yeah, but I heard it's the evil way she eats hay.
Weirdly enough, the only person with enough balls to go meet Zecora is Applejack's little sister Applebloom, which she sneaks away to do so. Look at those little legs. Now I do want to say something about this episode, and that is, it was the first episode that actually made me genuinely laugh. Granted, it's not the only one, there's plenty of good humor in the show, but I think it's notable nonetheless. The culprit in question was, surprisingly, Pinkie Pie, and what made me laugh was a song she made up about Zecora. I'll explain! Bear with me here, please.
Here we go. She's an evil enchantress. She does evil dances. And if you look deep in her eyes, she'll put you in trances. Then what will she do? She'll mix up an evil brew. Then she'll gobble you up in a big tasty stew. So watch out.
Wow, catchy.
But it wasn't the song or her being goofy about it or anything like that. It was the way the writers just tried to inject her singing the song into random scenes afterwards.
What about digging at the ground? You gotta admit, that's weird.
What if she's digging for innocent creatures?
I'm sure there's an explanation for everything Zecora does. And if any pony...
You keep your creepy mumbo-jumbo to yourself, you hear? How dare you? Was that supposed to scare us?
There are other times this episode made me laugh, which is great. Either I was in a good mood when I saw it, or it really is just funny. I do think the show's more subtle sense of humor comes out in this next scene. When Applebloom follows Zecora, the others go too and find her at the edge of the forest. Zecora then says this.
Beware! Beware, you pony folk! Those leaves of blue are not a joke!
Leaves of blue, huh? I wonder what she could be referring to.
Yeah, back at you, Zecora! You and your lame curse are the ones who better beware!
Evil enchantress with the dances and the boxes! Well, that's interesting to hear coming from Miss Magic Pants herself.
Oh, come on, Rainbow Dash, you practically swam through them. The sheer obviousness of the flowers being a threat and the exaggeration of them touching as many flowers as possible made this whole thing pretty funny, and the show doesn't shy away from bringing out this more subtle sense of humor whenever it can. The next day, they all wake up afflicted with some sort of humorous condition. Twilight has a flaccid wiener for a horn, Pinkie has a swollen tongue, Rainbow Dash is uncoordinated, Rarity has sick dreads, man! Applejack is tiny, which is admittedly cute, and Fluttershy becomes about 20% sexier.
So, you're not gonna tell us? Yes, you're not, or yes, you will? Good gravy, girl! What's wrong with you?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. They all think it's some kind of spell Zecora put on them, so they go witch hunting and find her house.
She's an evil enchantress and she does evil dances. And if you look deep in her eyes, she will put you in trances. Then what will she do? She'll mix up an evil brew. Then she'll gobble you up in a big tasty stew. So, watch out.
They think she's making Apple Bloom into soup, so they all bust in and ruin her day, then, oh wow, Apple Bloom's okay, who would have guessed? Obviously it ends with her being a good person, I'm pretty sure you all saw that coming, but like I said, I do not like her, and the only reason is because all of her dialogue rhymes, which gets very old very quick.
Here is the book, you see? Sad that you lack it in your library. The perfect temperature for ponies, I presume. Now, where is that little Apple Bloom? You destroy my home, destroy my work, then rudely accuse me of being a jerk?
Oh, shut the fuck. Now, here's a story arc set up in Season 1 that I personally found quite boring, but has a really decent conclusion. In Episode 12, we see 3 child characters. Applejack's little sister, Apple Bloom, Rarity's little sister, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo, who is... They all become friends because they're the only kids in their class without their cutie marks. Which I haven't explained yet, god damn it. By now you've probably noticed each pony has a tattoo on their ass. This is something that represents what you are most passionate about in life, and it only appears when you realize that passion. They are called cutie marks, which, if you ask me, is a disgusting name. They apparently also have a bunch of other magical properties, but that kind of shit is all over the place, honestly. These 3 kids basically form an alliance by the end of episode 12 called the Cutie Mark Crusaders, in which they try and help each other find their marks. There are many episodes about the Crusaders as the show goes on, but the only real notable one is their conclusion, which we'll get to in time. And honestly, my favorite of these 3 would have to be Sweetie Belle because her voice cracks all the time and it's really cute.
Prove it!
Speaking of booty marks, it's mandatory that I explain the story of how the main cast gets theirs because it's important later. I don't want to spend much time here, so I'll be quick. I'm also pretty certain you don't care that much. This is explained in episode 23 when the Cutie Mark Crusaders need advice on how to get their marks, so they ask the main characters what happened with theirs. I'm only going to say this shit once, so pay attention. Applejack wanted to see if moving to Manhattan would help her find purpose, then while having a tragic dinner, she looks out the window and sees a rainbow leading back home, then she goes back to the farm and her mark appears. Fluttershy could never fly very well and was getting bullied one day, then Rainbow Dash defends her by challenging the bullies, which leads to Fluttershy's death. Just kidding, she's only dead on the inside. She then discovers a love for animals, but the animals get scared by a big explosive rainbow. Then she uses her Dr. Dolittle powers to calm them down, which gives her the mark. You're seeing a pattern yet? No? Okay. Rarity was tasked with making costumes for a kid's play, but she wasn't satisfied with them, then suddenly her horn magically led her to a giant rock. Then an explosive rainbow cracks the rock open to reveal jewels, which she uses on the dress, which gives her the mark. You're seeing a pattern yet? No? Okay. Twilight was inspired by Celestia to study magic, and her parents want her to take an entrance exam for a gifted school, who tasks her to hatch a dragon egg. She can't do it, but an explosive rainbow gives her the magic she needs to hatch the egg, which contains an adorable newborn Spike. Then she does some more stuff that basically shows she's extremely powerful. This catches Celestia's attention, who then decides to take her under her wing as a protege instead, giving her the mark. You seeing a pattern yet? No? Okay. Pinkie Pie used to be a depressing sack of shit working on a rock farm with her depressing sack of family. One day she sees a giant rainbow which makes her smile for the first time, I'm pretty sure, and she wonders, how can I make people smile? Then hosts a party for her family who love it, giving her the mark. You seeing a pattern yet? No? Okay. Rainbow Dash gets hers racing the bullies harassing Fluttershy. She was about to lose but pushed herself to win, and she went so fast that she caused something called a sonic rain boom, which is a sonic boom that produces a rainbow. This gives her the mark. If you don't see it now, you are a dum-dum. Everyone freaks out when they find out their cutie marks were caused by Rainbow Dash's sonic rain boom. Then the episode ends. And that's about it for season 1. And the season finale is really not worth talking about. It's clear the writers were still trying to find their footing here because season 2 immediately begins strongly.